Long live communism, right?
What's that?
Long live communism? World Socialist website?
You know that? You know the website?
Yeah, I know socialism. A thing or two about socialism.
Okay. Well, we're Trotskyists. We're fighting for the unity of the working class.
See, poor guy was murdered by Stalin.
Right.
Can you believe it? Trotsky was the guy who actually made the revolution. If not for Trotsky, the revolution of 1917, Lenin's revolution, would not have succeeded.
It was co-led by Lenin and Trotsky.
And then,
Stalin played no role in it.
no, zero, exactly. And then, he expels the guy, he goes to Mexico, and even there, he managed to reach the guy. Actually, I was in Mexico. I was in his museum. I saw the actual table he was sitting at when he was murdered by the ice. What do you call it? Ice pack. Ice pack,
yeah,
right?
It's not exactly an ice pack. It was close enough.
Yeah. And it was one of the fellow communists, Communists killing communists.
No, it was a Stalinist agent.
Oh, so the Stalinist and communist is not the same.
Absolutely. Stalinism is
Okay.
anti-communism. And that was the whole point of the struggle. Of Trotsky. As early as October 1923, you had the left opposition. But the left opposition was formed in opposition to the bureaucracy. And the bureaucracy is what Stalin represented. He represented the bureaucracy against the working class. And the conception of socialism in one country, which was put forward by Stalin, has nothing to do with it. It was anti-Marxist.
In one country, so that's where you diverge, as opposed to global revolution.
Trotsky's conception of permanent revolution is thoroughly international. But the bureaucracy wasn't simply had wrong ideas. They were a material force because they were a bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy grew in the Soviet Union because of defeats of the workers.
Yeah, bureaucracy sucks. We have bureaucracy in this country. I hate bureaucracy.
Well, of course, yes, there's a bureaucracy in this country, but in the Soviet Union it was different because you still had a workers' state. It was what we called a degenerated workers' state.
Degenerated workers' state.
Right.
Okay.
That was the expression that we.
Who came up with this?
Well, Trotsky.
Idea?
I mean,
Trotsky came up with this.
One of his books is *The Revolution Betrayed*. I don't know if you read it, but if you haven't.
Well, actually, when I lived in the USSR,
yes.
Obviously they didn't mention Trotsky. Well, maybe like in passing, and mostly negative terms. So no, Trotsky wasn't loved in the USSR.
Right, because
neither was Stalin at some point. They love him more and more now in Russia, modern Russia.
Well, the thing is that you had the Khrushchev's secret speech.
Yeah, the 20th Congress, yes.
Right, and that he said that Stalin was the cult of personality.
That's right.
But in point of fact, it wasn't really a cult. It wasn't a cult.
It was not a cult?
It was.
You must be kidding me. It wasn't a cult of Stalin?
It was a bureaucracy.
You go to the bathroom, and obviously there was no paper in the USSR, and we were using newspapers. And by the way, when COVID hit and everybody was kind of scrabbling for toilet papers, we were like, what's the big deal? But let me finish. So if you were to go to the bathroom and wipe your butt with the portrait of Stalin, they'll shoot you. Shoot you to death.
Let me try to explain. What Stalin represented, and this is what Khrushchev never said, it was this bureaucracy. Okay. In other words, what they made a decision.
Say who?
Khrushchev and company,
okay.
That Stalin was just killing everybody.
Yeah, and that indiscriminately, exactly.
And that the bureaucracy couldn't continue this way. And that's and that's why the Khrushchev speech, secret speech was made. He was saying, look, we have to do things differently. We just can't kill everybody.
Exactly. There'll be no people left in the end.
Well, I mean, that was the change that they made. It was the expression of the crisis of the Stalinist bureaucracy.
I see.
And so the cult of personality is not the same thing as saying you're not a Stalinist. Khrushchev was a Stalinist. Khrushchev worked with Stalin for many years.
Of course.
Right? He was
in Ukraine, of course.
Yeah, right. Well, everywhere. Right. And the thing is that
he was dancing,
As a matter of fact, Putin is a Stalinist.
He is absolutely. That's why Russia is turning back to Stalinist. Well, it has turned.
But the thing is,
turned.
But they are. Putin is. When he went into Ukraine, and we say the primary.
You mean they attacked Ukraine? There's a difference between walking into Ukraine as a guest
Yeah, but the
and
thing
actually
is, well, you know what I mean.
attacking the country. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but the reason why I said, look, because the primary responsibility for that is U.S. NATO. In other words, it's true that Putin fired the first shot. That's
Right.
true. But the primary responsibility is U.S. NATO against Russia.
Really?
So that's our position.
Huh.
In other words, we say you just can't judge this by the first. Yes, it's true. Putin fired the first shot. You know, and it's
Rightfully
also
or
true
wrongfully?
that, you know, well, of course we are opposed to Putin, and we're opposed to his military invasion.
Do you oppose NATO as well?
Huh?
Do you oppose NATO
Yes,
as well?
we're socialists.
Ah, you're social. I keep forgetting. Okay.
We're socialists.
But let's say hypothetically you succeed. Let's say you
It's
have
just the
10
same
million.
thing with Israel. We're
happened with
for the
Israel?
we're for the overthrow of Israel by the unity of Arab and Jewish workers to create a secular workers' state. So that's what we're fighting for.
But Israel started as a socialist state. The only place.
No.
The only place. No, I mean think about it. The only place where
Israel is not socialist. No.
Golda Meir was a socialist. She was the prime minister of Israel. Kibbutzim and Moshavim, they're all basically no.
They use that word. They use that language.
But they're not.
No.
So then, what would socialism look like? In let's say, if you were to succeed, what will the world look like?
Well, we stand with the Russian Revolution.
Which one? February, October? There were two of them, by the way.
The October Revolution.
Okay.
Right. But the thing is that, like you were saying, that was led by Lenin and Trotsky. But the problem is, it was a relatively backward country.
Okay.
And it was invaded. 3 years there was an invasion, civil war, which decimated the Soviet Union.
So the revolution was not necessitated then. The revolution was not necessary. It was a wrong idea to do the revolution.
The problem is you can't have socialism in one country. It requires international.
That's the problem. So it's either everywhere or nowhere.
But in addition to that, the Soviet Union was decimated. It wasn't.
You mean Russia?
Well, the Soviet Union. From 1918 to 1921, there was a civil war.
So you're talking about that period. Okay.
I'm talking about that period.
You mean decimated by what? Entente?
No, because there was
civil war. But they were
war.
fighting against each other. I mean, there was a civil war for crying out
But
loud.
you had the counter-revolutionists who supported the Tsar.
But why should
you
they?
had 14 imperialist armies.
But think about it this way. I mean, just hypothetically. So you want revolution, and let's say I don't. So do you expect me to accept you just because you want it? The same thing happened in Russia. So yeah, Lenin, this idiot who never lived in Russia, basically for the past 15 years or so, all of a sudden gets to St. Petersburg, he gets off this train, remember, in the Finnish station, and delivers this speech, and bingo, there's a revolution, and then what? Why should I submit to this bold guy coming from Germany? By the way,
the first thing they did was they nationalized the banking system.
It was a disaster, of course.
The banking system?
Yeah.
Well, the previous banking system was for the capitalist system, and it was nationalized.
And capitalism is bad.
Well, yes, capitalism. Capitalism is what you have today.
Well, you
have the war in Ukraine is capitalism. The war in Gaza is capitalism. The threat of war against China is capitalism.
So do you delineate between capitalism,
fascism, Donald Trump, and the genocide Joe is capitalism.
Capitalism.
Okay.
So what about free market? Is there a difference between capitalism and free market economy?
Free market is just a euphemism, a nice word, because it's free sounds so nice.
I see.
Capitalism is the exploitation of labor power.
I see.
As ruthlessly as they can possibly do.
But I lived in the USSR. I was exploited. I was a slave to the society. I mean, literally, I was a slave. I had no freedoms. I couldn't travel. I couldn't move and live wherever I wanted. I couldn't even stay at a hotel because there was no such a thing.
What I'm trying to say to you is that Stalinism is anti-communism. That's what I'm trying to explain.
But isn't it so that every time when the so-called socialist revolution happens, it always turns into something other than your ideal? Every single time.
It wasn't the Russian Revolution was betrayed because you can't have socialism in one country.
Did it succeed?
If there had been revolutions, for example, if there had been a revolution in Germany.
Yeah, he really wanted
Hitler,
it. Yeah.
The whole world, we wouldn't be here right now.
So you think that the Stalinism is better than fascism, or you think Lenin? Yeah.
Stalinism is sort of like the other side of fascism.
Okay.
It's sort of like the flip side of it.
That's true. I agree with you on that.
Because the fact of it is, the Stalinist policy in Germany allowed Hitler to take power.
Yeah,
what Trotsky was fighting for in Germany was the unity of the German Social Democratic Party and the Communist Party to form battalions, military battalions against the Nazis. There was no mixing of program. There was the programs could be different or whatever. It was just a military decision, a political military, which would have led to the overthrow of the German state and the defeat of Nazism if Trotsky's policy had been followed. Instead, what Stalin did is he called the Communist Party. He called the Communist Party he called the Social Democratic Party social fascists. That's what he called them. He said you're not unifying them. It was a disaster. That's what made it possible for Hitler to take power. And then Stalin signed a non-aggression pact with Hitler.
Right.
You talk about the relationship of Stalinism and fascism. That's a perfect example. He formed the non-aggression pact with Hitler, and the result was disaster. Was of course
the Second World War, of course.
Yeah, right.
But what about Lenin? You think Lenin was a good guy?
Yes, we're Leninists.
He was a good guy. You're Leninist.
We were Leninists.
But what about from the get-go when he started the revolution? What do you think about his concept of the Red Terror? Red Terror. I mean, that's
the Red
his
Terror is
concept.
a result of the White Terror.
Way more intense.
You had a counter-revolution. You had a counter-revolution.
But do you think? So you think there can be a context where a terror is a good thing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If to suppress the counter-revolution, yes.
I see.
But the Bolsheviks didn't start the terror. The terror started from the counter-revolution.
I see.
And so, in order to fight it, it had a very liberal policy. But with the Mensheviks existed and so forth and so on. But when the Mensheviks became active part of the counter-revolution, that was different.
Well, except of course, that after the first February Revolution, Menshevik, you know what Menshevik means? Minority.
Yeah, I know.
And Bolsheviks means Bolshoi, which means big majority.
Yes.
But in reality, in the parliament, in Duma, Russian Duma, it was the other way around. The Bolsheviks were the minority, and the Mensheviks were the majority.
Because when you had the split in 1903, there was a vote. Lenin won a majority on
He never did. He never had a majority.
Yes, there was a
Never,
majority in a particular vote, and so he said, "We're the Bolsheviks."
So, but let's say, let's forward.
I'm not quite sure that's the basic issue. The basic issue is what is Bolshevism was a progressive revolutionary tendency, which you obviously don't agree with. But that's.
I just lived it. That's what makes you different from me.
I'm saying.
I live this nightmare.
Trotsky was murdered by Stalin. Okay, we're Trotskyists.
I see.
So it's not because I've never been to the Soviet Union, but that's not the point. The point is that how do we understand these things? I'm saying to you, I've said it now 5 times already. Stalinism is anti-communism.
Okay, but there was where I live, it was, I know, if you can call it Brezhnevism, that's where I spent most of my adult life on the Brezhnev.
Yeah, but that's Stalinism.
It's still Stalinist.
Yes.
I see. So let's say if you were to succeed, what will the world look like, and how?
I can't give you a blueprint like that.
You can't. So
I can't. I would say that if the working class took power over the world, you would have no wars because you don't have capitalist country nation states fighting each other. You would not have military budgets. You wouldn't need nuclear weapons. All of this could be used for the benefit of mankind as a whole. So, in other words, capitalism is the nation-state system, and the nation-state system is war. We saw 2 world wars. And now we're having these wars that are taking place now.
But the Soviet Union was fighting the Chinese, for example, like communists against communists.
Because it's Stalinist. Both
Stalinist.
I keep saying
so Maoist was Stalinist.
Yes,
so everything.
Maoism is a form of Stalinism.
I see. I got it.
Did I give you this? Yes.
Yeah, I can keep on. Israel's war.
Read this.
How? I mean, what's the connection between now World Socialist website and the Israel war and women and children? What's the nexus?
This is capital. This is imperial. Israel is a client state, essentially a client state of U.S. imperialism in the Middle East. It isn't simply that Biden supports Israel. It would be more correct to say that Biden is Israel in the Middle East, or Israel is U.S. imperialism in the Middle East.
But I mean, with all due respect, on October 7th, it was the Hamas terrorists.
Our position
No.
is that Hamas is not a terrorist organization.
It's not a terrorist organization.
organization.
Then who are they?
They have legitimate, because when they're bourgeois nationalists is what we say.
Bourgeois nationalists. Okay.
Because we're not, obviously, our disagreement with Hamas is not that they're terrorists. But
Okay.
you can't, when you have slavery, you can have slavery votes.
Okay.
If you say the slavery votes is terrorism, then you're supporting slavery.
So again, what do you call them? Hamas is
Bourgeois nationalists.
bourgeois. So it's okay for bourgeois nationalists then to like go to another neighboring country and murder 1,200 innocent people?
No, because Israel is occupied Palestine.
I understand, but I mean, whatever happens,
It's
I mean,
the other
I
way
get
around.
it.
Israel, it isn't
Okay,
that
fine,
Israel-
but is it justified kind of murdering 1,200 innocent people, children, women,
Yes.
babies? It's justified,
yes, we don't agree with it. We say it's a human tragedy what
Uh-huh.
took place.
but it's justified.
But it's a product of Zionism.
Uh-huh.
Zionism did that. They produced Hamas. They produced that action that they did.
And therefore, it's
Which
okay
we don't
for them.
call
Uh-huh.
We don't agree. No, we don't agree with it. We don't agree. We say that Hamas is not a terrorist organization.
Okay.
We don't agree with it because our position is there has to be unity of Israeli and Arab workers to overthrow the state of Israel.
Okay, but whatever you call it, I mean, the fact is, on October 7th, they
No,
did.
that's not terrorism.
That's not
that fact. Not only was that, because Israel knew about it.
No, but that's beside the point. Again, the
No,
fact
it's not
is.
beside the point.
No, but the fact is,
Israel
wasn't.
knew that it was going to happen. They allowed it to happen.
They allowed
made
it to
a conscious
happen.
decision to happen.
But they did not
They
kill.
had the documents. Well, they did through Hamas.
Well, they.
They did through Hamas.
So it's like.
They knew they had the doc. They had in precise detail. They knew what Hamas was going to do. In precise detail.
I see. So the Israelis did it. The Jews did it on purpose. You think?
Not the Jews.
The,
It's not Jews.
Israel.
It's Israel. Israel
But
is
Israel-
Zionism. There's a difference between being Jewish and being Zionist.
You're not Jewish, are you?
Yes, I am.
You are Jewish.
Yeah.
And you.
And there's a difference between being, and there's a lot of Jews in this
But how? I mean, as a Jew, how can you not have
it's
sympathy
not a
for your
question of
fellow?
being a Jew. No.
How can you not have sympathy
Because
for
it's-
your own Jews? I don't understand.
I have
For the life of me.
I have sympathy for Jews. I have sympathy for Palestinians. I have sympathy for you. I
Well,
have
but
sympathy
again,
for work. The point is that what you don't understand is that this is a class. These are class questions. We're
Class
fighting
questions,
we're
I see.
fighting to mobilize the working class. Look, would you be interested in getting 2 of our pamphlets? It costs money if you'd be interested.
but isn't it supposed to be free? I mean, it's always boils down
well,
to,
that's,
you know.
that's what we told the printer.
Well, exactly. So
can't
you
just
cannot.
learn.
Then your socialist utopia can't possibly exist
Matter of fact,
without a free market. No.
We need to raise money, yes.
Well, but money is supposed
From
to be.
people, not from, we're not supported by capitalism.
Well, you are.
No, we're not.
Of course you are. I mean,
No,
everything they do, the cars that you drive, it's all the
But we
product
don't- yeah, but
of
we're
a free
fighting
market
over-
economy.
We're trying to overthrow that. Okay, look, read the leaflet, see what
Sure.
you think.
Okay.
We have
What's
a-
your name?
My name is Alan.
Okay, I'm Vladimir.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
Sure.
take it.
Sure.